So here we're going to be making a tutorial that's going to show you how to do this spinning transition like that, using 2 pieces of footage that you already have. The really great thing about this is that you can, once you've made this, take it pretty much anywhere, because all you got to do is have these 2 adjustment layers and you're set. So I'm going to show you how to make that from scratch. So for starters, you're going to go and make a new project. Project name, something spinning transition, something like that. And I want you to put that in your tutorial folder. If you should have one on your desktop, go ahead and put it there and hit create. And it's going to start off being blank. So first thing you're going to do is you can either do Control N, or you can go to File, New, and make a new sequence. I want you to pick one of these guys that has 1080p, which is the size of it. And then you're going to pick 2 pieces of footage. In my case, I've got these 2 that I'm going to use that are just some stock footage that I have. So I'm going to drag them in here. You want to make sure that they're the right size. If they're not the right size, you need to make sure that they fit. And you can do that by clicking and setting to frame size. It'll make it a lot easier to do the numbers that we're going to need to apply later that I'll explain. It's a little long right now, so this is almost 40 seconds. So what I want to do first is shorten it, because you don't need to have it that long. We're just going to take it down. And you see these little triangles in the corners. What those represent is the beginning of the segment, beginning or end of the clip. And I need a little bit of space to work with. So I want to get rid of those and then shorten it down. Still kind of long. And it should be like under 20 seconds, or under 10 seconds really. So now I'm at 8. That's good right there. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in so I can see my 2 clips. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make an adjustment layer. You can do that down here. Remember, adjustment layers are going to be a blank filter basically that you can put anywhere in your project, and anything underneath the adjustment layer will change. So I want to start in the middle here, and I want it to be equal length on both sides. So if I just use the left and right keys, it moves 1 frame at a time. What I want to do is hold down Shift, and that's going to move a total of 5 frames at a time. So hold Shift and press to the left, that's 5. 1 more is 10. And I'm going to make a cut. You can use Control K to cut, or you can use the razor tool if you want. And I'm just going to delete that extra. So all I need is 10 frames, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, hold Shift and now to the right. 1, 2, that's 10 frames. You could also just drag it and shorten it like that. So the transition is going to be between those 2 clips, and I got my 1 adjustment layer. I'm going to hold Alt and drag to make a copy. Anytime you hold Alt and drag, it's going to make a copy of whatever you've got underneath there. So to start with, I'm going to need to use this bottom adjustment layer, and I'm going to go to Effects. If you don't have this showing, click your little workspace button here and go to Show Workspace tabs. You can drag that out and see all your different options. Let's go to Effects. And the first one I want to start with is Replicate. Okay, so I'm going to start by dragging that again on the bottom layer. Replicate makes copies of it. So right now there's two copies up and down. I'm going to actually bust it up to 3. So what I'm trying to do is to be able to focus in on this middle one, but I want to get rid of these lines that are going to be around it, because it's going to look kind of awkward if it has those lines. So I'm going to use the mirror effect, and I'm going to actually need that a total of 4 times. Let me show you what that's going to do. So I'm going to drag the mirror effect again to the bottom layer. My first reflection angle is going to be 90 degrees. And now you can see I've got one that's upside down, but it's a little awkward. So I'm going to adjust the values for the Y value. This is the X value, Y value, just like a graph in math. And I want to have it so that it is a mirror, and I get rid of that line. So I want that white coat or shirt or whatever she's wearing, I want that to line up right there. So I'm going to apply it again. Now I'm going to do it from the top. So I'm going to do -90 this time. And I'm going to need to drag that up so that it's right at that line disappearing. Okay, so again, these values, if you've got a 1080 size project, it should be about the same for you. I've got 2 more lines to take care of on the left and right. So I'm going to drag this one, and this one is going to be a 180. And I disappeared. This time I'm adjusting the X value, and I'm going to need to slide it all the way over here until that left line is gone. So those curtains, that's a little too far. Okay, there you go. So the curtains are reflecting now. And one more time. And this one's going to be for the left line. So that line is kind of on that shelf for my example. Yours will look a little bit different, of course, but there you go. That's basically it for the bottom layer. So when I zoom in now with the next effect, that's going to be easy to see why we want to do that. So what I'm looking for is transform, and it's actually going to be under video effects distortion. I'm going to apply that now to the top layer. So on the top layer, it's going to give me all these options of things I can do. I want to bust up the scale to 300. So what I've actually done is I'm zooming in, but when I rotate, it'll look okay because I'm going to have all these different things around it. So 300 is the rotation. I'm sorry, is the transform, and I'm going to make it spin. So I need to make a keyframe here at the beginning. So I'm going to activate the keyframe. I'm going to press this guy. So no rotation here, but at the end of this clip, and I find it easier sometimes to make it right here and then drag it. So I'm going to press this little button to make a keyframe, or actually I could just type in 360. So that's going to rotate, and I want to move that to the end. So now that looks okay. We're almost there, but one big difference is we need to get some motion blur in there. Anytime you're moving, adding some motion blur is going to make it look smoother. So under here, under opacity, I'm going to unclick this. It says use composition shutter angle. I'm going to use a shutter angle anywhere between 200 and 300 should be okay. Let's see what 250 looks like. Okay, so that does look a little slow right now. I am at full resolution, so if I bust it down to quarter resolution, it might look a little better. Yeah, that looks all right. One more thing that I want to do, I want to mess with the keyframes a little bit more. So if you unspool this, you can see this is the position or the rotation graph, and this is the speed graph. And if you make this, or I'm going to select this one, I'm going to ease in, I can adjust the speed. So it's going to be starting off fast and going slow. So let's see how that looks. I like the way that starts off faster and it slows down as you get in. It peaks right there. And you can mess around with that some more. If you want to make this one also an ease in, you can do that. It's your call on how you want to do that. That should probably be an ease out actually. Either way, you can mess around with that a little bit and see what that looks like. But you want to make sure that it still does that circle, so don't mess with it too much. You start messing with those position values, it'll get a little screwy. But I think that looks pretty nice. Again, this is really easy to use on any project because now if I move it to another spot, all I have to do is copy these and I've got my effect ready to go. So you can do that multiple times in the same project if you like. You're going to export into your exports folder, and you are done and ready to turn it in.